So just very briefly, as many people will know, Black Sash is not usually that involved in issues of food security. But given the link between social relief of distress and the fact that SASSA and social development have become involved in food security, we have also therefore become involved at a number of levels. Soon after lockdown started, we were contacted by a community partner in the Witzenberg district as the first cases of COVID were being diagnosed there, to say that people in informal settlements and on farms were already hungry, given the job insecurity in that part of the world, and that they didn't know how to access SASSA systems for food parcels. And so we literally set up a system where people were writing down their details in school exercise books, photographing them with smartphones, sending them to us on WhatsApp so that we could type them up and submit them to SASSA. That took a while to work its way through the system, but just as the first cold front hit in May, the Department of Social Development pulled up in series in Witzenberg and handed out food parcels to the majority of those people living on farms and in informal settlements. But the local community had set up food kitchens in a similar way to what others have described. And what is interesting in rural areas is the ways in which local farmers are assisting with food security. And so if anybody's looking for a case study around these issues in rural areas, I'd be happy to put you in touch with our partners in Witzenberg and in other areas, because we are trying to get a sense of what's happening across the country in rural areas particularly. We've partnered with between 50 and 60 community-based organizations and community advice offices to submit monthly reports on the implementation of the COVID grant, but also to give us an indication of what is unfolding in areas that are struggling to gain access to, for instance, the COVID application process, but also other sources of social assistance. Also, just to mention that the Department of Social Development is in the process of setting up a food voucher system, because I think the thinking is that the COVID grant could perhaps assist with the cost of electricity, the cost of data, etc., and that a food voucher system could assist with issues of hunger more effectively than, as others have identified, the food kitchens or food parcels. It was mentioned by the President in April already, but has taken a while to be implemented. I think what we're all seeing is the fact that the Department of Social Development, in particular SASSA, have really struggled to get systems in place in the scale that they needed for these issues to be addressed effectively. So that's just giving you a sense of what we're involved in, and if there are any possibilities for partnering, it would be great to do so. Just in closing, I thought it might be useful to get a bit of a national sense of how the Department of Social Development is recording and documenting food parcel distribution particularly. This is a slide from their Portfolio Committee meeting on the 11th of June. The next Portfolio Committee meeting is this week on Thursday. But we're looking at 5.2% of the population being affected by food insecurity and hunger, and already by the 6th week of the national lockdown, DSD was saying 15.4% of South Africans were being affected by food insecurity and hunger. Down to point number 3, South Africa had about 24% of the population, 14 million people who are food insecure prior to the COVID pandemic. And that we are looking at that escalating probably beyond the official figures that the Department of Social Development is speaking to. And so what people have been speaking to so far in the panel is at kind of the grassroots level and the local Western Cape level of what we are seeing in our country at the moment. And so yeah, I think what it speaks to is both the scale of the crisis that we're facing, but also the enormous possibilities that a forum like this and other structures that have been put in place can help us to realize. I don't think I'm going to speak to this too much more. I think it'd be far better for us to have broader conversations. But I would just like to point out that the Scalabrini Centre's court case, there was a ruling over the weekend that special relief grants and social relief of distress is now to be given to asylum seekers as well. And so slowly we are broadening the net of those who qualify, certainly within government systems, for different types of support. And in closing, there are a number of entities working together, civil society organizations, to push for the beginning of this scale of social assistance moving into something like an income guarantee or a basic income grant that rolls out beyond the COVID grant. So if anybody in this meeting is interested in joining with those discussions and those initiatives, please feel free to contact me.